The association between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein has long captivated public discourse, particularly in light of recent document releases by the U.S. Department of Justice. This connection, rooted in the elite social and business circles of the late 20th century, exemplifies how high-profile figures often intersected through networking, parties, and financial dealings without foreknowledge of future scandals. Epstein, a financier convicted of sex offenses, maintained relationships with numerous influential individuals, including Trump, during a period when such ties were commonplace among wealthy New York and Palm Beach residents. The December 23, 2025, release of Epstein investigation files, including a 2020 prosecutor's email summarizing flight logs, has reignited scrutiny, revealing details of domestic flights and social encounters, but no evidence of wrongdoing on Trump's part. These documents emphasize domestic U.S. routes, family involvement on some trips, and the absence of links to Epstein's infamous properties like Little St. James or Zorro Ranch. The broader context involves media sensationalism, where headlines often imply deeper implications despite official statements deeming certain claims unfounded and false. Trump's pre-political life as a businessman facilitated encounters with a diverse array of characters, including those later revealed to have criminal reputations, reflecting the normative practices of elite socialization in the 1980s and 1990s. Parties at venues like Mar-a-Lago, casinos, and high society events served as hubs for networking, where financial deals, casual conversations, and partying were standard. Trump's acknowledgement of occasional domestic jet rides with Epstein aligns with this environment, where associations were not scrutinized until Epstein's crimes surfaced publicly. The files confirm 8 flights between 1993 and 1997, primarily from Palm Beach to New York or New Jersey areas, with passengers including Ghislaine Maxwell on at least 4 occasions, family members on several, and redacted individuals, such as a 20-year-old on one trip. No records indicate island visits or illicit activities, and the Department of Justice has pushed back against sensational interpretations, noting the lack of new allegations against Trump. This examination aims to synthesize the documented aspects of the Trump-Epstein tie, from specific interactions to broader controversies surrounding file handling and conspiracies. By focusing on factual timelines and official releases, it highlights how such relationships, while retrospectively problematic, were typical in their era and lacked criminal connotations for Trump. The analysis also addresses calls for full transparency in Epstein files, critiquing delays under officials like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, and explores speculative theories about Epstein's role in larger networks. Ultimately, the discourse underscores the challenges of distinguishing social acquaintances from complicity, emphasizing the need for complete document disclosure to resolve lingering questions and enhance credibility. Elite social networks and business interactions in the late 20th century. In the affluent milieus of New York and Palm Beach during the 1980s and 1990s, social and business networks often intertwined prominent figures like Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, fostering relationships that were commonplace, yet later scrutinized. Trump, as a real estate magnate, frequently attended and hosted events where financiers, celebrities, and influencers converged, creating opportunities for casual alliances without deep vetting. Epstein, rising from a teacher to a mysterious billionaire advisor, embedded himself in these circles through financial ties and social invitations, exemplifying how reputations in such environments were built on perceived success rather than moral scrutiny. Their acquaintance, estimated to begin around 1987 based on Trump's later statements, mirrored countless others in elite society, where partying, deal-making, and networking predominated. This era's norms allowed for interactions with individuals of varying backgrounds, including those with hidden criminal inclinations, as long as surface-level benefits like mutual introductions or convenience prevailed. The normalization of such ties is evident in the variety of encounters, from casino gatherings to charity fundraisers, where big talk and socializing masked potential red flags. Trump's world involved running into diverse characters at venues like Atlantic City casinos or Mar-a-Lago parties, where Epstein's presence was not anomalous given his Palm Beach mansion proximity. Financial and political connections further facilitated these overlaps, with Epstein's network extending to American and international figures, potentially including Israeli affiliations through deals and associations. However, Trump's relationship appears limited to social convenience, with no documented financial transactions or deeper collaborations. Over approximately 20 years, their interactions totaled around 20 to 22 documented instances, equating to sporadic days together, often in group settings with little substantive outcome beyond typical elite banter. Retrospectively, these associations raise questions about foresight, yet they align with how many individuals form relationships without predicting future revelations. In 20 or 25 years, such ties can appear problematic, but in context, they reflect the opaque nature of elite networks where criminal elements sometimes lurked undetected. Trump's eventual ban of Epstein from Mar-a-Lago around 2004 to 2007, citing staff poaching and inappropriate behavior toward a teenage member's daughter, signals a decisive break, predating Epstein's 2008 conviction. This action underscores that while initial contacts were unremarkable, awareness of issues prompted severance, distinguishing Trump's involvement from those who maintained closer or post-scandal ties. Documented flights on Epstein's jet, details and contexts. The 8 documented flights Trump took on Epstein's private jet between 1993 and 1997 represent a key facet of their association, all confined to domestic U.S. routes with no international or island destinations. The first, on April 23, 1993, involved a likely Palm Beach to New York or New Jersey path, with limited passenger details but part of the 1993 cluster where one flight listed only Trump and Epstein. Subsequent October 11th and 17th, 1993, flights followed similar domestic patterns, potentially including redacted witnesses or Maxwell, as noted in the 2020 prosecutor's summary. An unknown 1993 date marks the solo flight with just Trump and Epstein, emphasizing the brevity and routine nature of these trips. The May 15, 1994, flight from Palm Beach to Teterboro via Washington, D.C., included family like Marla Maples, Tiffany Trump, a nanny, Epstein, and Maxwell, highlighting a family-oriented context. Further flights, such as August 13, 1995, from Palm Beach to Teterboro, featured Trump, young Eric Trump, Epstein, and Maxwell, one of at least 4 with her presence. An unknown 1995 to 1996 date involved redacted women as potential Maxwell case witnesses, maintaining the domestic focus. The final January 5, 1997, flight concluded the series, with unspecified passengers but aligning with the overall pattern of short, continental journeys. These logs, from Maxwell's trial and the 2025 DOJ release, confirm no wrongdoing, with the Department of Justice labeling related sensational claims as unfounded. Trump's public admissions of these rides predate the releases, underscoring transparency on his part regarding the non-illicit nature. The flights reflect social convenience in overlapping circles, often involving Trump's children or wife, which underscores a non-clandestine dynamic. No evidence places Trump at Epstein's estates, and the domestic routes contradict media implications of secret or island-related travel. This detail reinforces that while the association existed, it lacked the depth or criminality attributed to others in Epstein's orbit, serving as a reminder of how routine interactions can be misconstrued in hindsight. Chronological timeline of known Trump-Epstein interactions. The timeline of Trump and Epstein's interactions begins in the late 1980s, around 1987, as neighbors in Palm Beach's elite social scene, with Trump's 2002 statement indicating a 15-year acquaintance. By 1989, they were seen together at Trump's Atlantic City casino amid young women, per witness accounts, exemplifying early casual encounters. November 1992 featured a notable Mar-a-Lago party captured on NBC footage, showing laughter and discussions about attendees. Late 1992 included Trump's Plaza Hotel holiday event, further embedding Epstein in social gatherings. April 23, 1993, marked the first documented flight, followed by a calendar girl party at Mar-a-Lago where Epstein was among few guests. October 1993 saw multiple flights on the 11th and 17th, plus an unknown solo date with just the two, and the Harley-Davidson Cafe opening with photos. December 20th, 1993, had Epstein at Trump's wedding to Marla Maples at the Plaza Hotel. A 1994 general allegation of a Mar-a-Lago encounter involving a young girl remains disputed and uncorroborated. May 15, 1994, involved a family flight with Maxwell. In 1995, Trump visited Epstein's New York office per witnesses, with an August 13th flight including Eric Trump and Maxwell, and a 1995 to 1996 flight with a redacted witness. February 22, 1997, featured a Mar-a-Lago photo, April 9th a Victoria's Secret event with video of chatting, and January 5th the final flight. A 1999 Victoria's Secret event showed more footage, while February 12, 2000, was the last public photo at a Mar-a-Lago fundraiser with Melania and Maxwell. The 2004 to 2007 period ended with confrontations leading to Epstein's been over staff issues and harassment. This chronology spans about 22 instances, estimating dozens more undocumented overlaps, but no criminal ties. Media coverage, sensationalism, and public perception. Media portrayals of the Trump-Epstein connection often amplify sensational elements, such as the 2025 file releases 8 flights, implying hidden depths despite documents showing only domestic travel. Outlets like those emphasizing solo flights or redacted passengers created impressions of guilt, burying facts like family presence and no wrongdoing claims. Balanced reports from Reuters or NPR noted alignment with prior Maxwell logs and Trump's acknowledgments, yet initial headlines fueled speculation. This disparity highlights how coverage can distort public perception, turning old social ties into scandals without new evidence. Public reaction in the media, with some viewing releases as Trump's strategic trap for opponents, others criticizing media bias. The absence of incriminating details against Trump, despite opposition access to files, suggests no direct evidence, yet perceptions persist due to Epstein's notoriety. Trump's pre-fallout ban and denials contrast with sensational framing, underscoring media's role in shaping narratives. Overall, the connection's perception as problematic stems more from hindsight than facts, with media often overlooking the normality of 1990s elite interactions. Full transparency could mitigate this, but partial releases perpetuate debates. Handling of Epstein files, transparency challenges, and political implications. The Department of Justice's management of Epstein files under officials like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel has drawn criticism for delays and excuses, despite promises of release. Bondi's statements about evidence on her desk, later retracted, and Patel's downplaying of crimes amid 40-plus sworn victim testimonies, fuel accusations of obstruction. Video and audio evidence, some in FBI hands, remains unreleased, separate from Maxwell's case, which should not halt broader disclosures. Trump's ultimate responsibility as president includes potential declassification, with options for redacting personal mentions via lawyers under national security pretexts. Political leverage from files could target opposition, yet withholding erodes credibility, appearing as cover for networks or allies. Full release, even post-presidency with immunity, would provide closure, absolving Trump through legal frameworks without consequences. Delays tied to Maxwell's appeals are seen as unnecessary, as files encompass a vast crime network beyond one case. This handling raises accountability questions, where transparency could enhance administration trust but risks exposing innocence or unproven claims. Strategic redaction offers a path to resolution without personal fallout. Conspiracies and broader networks surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. Numerous conspiracies surrounding Jeffrey Epstein center on allegations that he functioned as an agent tied to Israeli intelligence, leveraging opaque financial and political connections to orchestrate sophisticated blackmail operations. His improbable ascent from a high school teacher to a billionaire financier with access to global elites has fueled speculation that his wealth and influence were backed by state-level interests, particularly Mossad, aimed at compromising powerful figures. Estates such as Little St. James, commonly referred to as Epstein Island, and Zorro Ranch in New Mexico are frequently depicted as venues for lavish parties attended by world leaders, celebrities, and politicians, where bribery, drug use, and underage sexual abuse allegedly occurred under the cover of hidden cameras and recording devices. These theories posit that Epstein's network was not merely personal depravity, but part of a larger intelligence-gathering apparatus designed to secure leverage over influential individuals across governments and industries. While some connections to Israeli figures like former Prime Minister Ehud Barak have been documented, the full extent of any official intelligence role remains unproven, often dismissed as speculative or rooted in anti-Semitic tropes, yet persistently amplified in alternative media and online forums. More extreme extensions of these theories venture into claims of organized New World Order schemes, suggesting that Epstein's properties served as clandestine baby-making factories. According to these narratives, young women and girls trafficked to the estates were impregnated by high-profile visitors, with resulting offspring deliberately groomed for future positions of power in politics, business, military, media, or entertainment, thereby perpetuating a hidden global elite network. Proponents argue that unreleased Epstein files could contain evidence of pregnancies, medical records, guardianship arrangements, and long-term tracking of children, potentially exposing a multi-generational control mechanism. Such assertions, while lacking corroboration from official investigations or victim testimonies, draw from reports of unusual facilities at Zorro Ranch and Epstein's expressed interest in eugenics and transhumanism. These ideas, though fringe, illustrate how the vacuum of complete information allows speculation to escalate from plausible blackmail operations to fantastical visions of engineered societal domination, shifting scrutiny from Epstein as an individual offender to a vast, shadowy machine of interconnected power brokers. Epstein's 2019 death in federal custody has become a focal point for enduring skepticism, with numerous discrepancies, including malfunctioning or erased CCTV footage, guards reportedly asleep or falsifying logs, and an improbable suicide method involving a paper-like uniform, lending credence to theories of foul play, faked death, or protective extraction. Official inquiries attributed the incident to severe institutional mismanagement rather than murder, yet the accumulation of irregularities continues to fuel public doubt, suggesting elite intervention to silence Epstein and shield implicated parties. This opacity sustains a broader ecosystem of conspiracies, from intelligence affiliations to offspring grooming, which many believe is deliberately maintained to distract and diffuse accountability. Full, unredacted release of the remaining Epstein files could provide critical clarity, potentially corroborating or debunking elements of these narratives while redirecting focus toward other individuals and networks involved. Without such transparency, the saga remains mired in conjecture, perpetuating a cycle where partial disclosures only deepen mistrust and allow the most outlandish claims to compete with documented facts. Ultimately, resolving these controversies hinges on comprehensive disclosure, which alone can separate verifiable criminal networks from unsubstantiated myth-making. Conclusion: distinguishing facts from speculation in the Trump-Epstein association. The documented association between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, confined to social and occasional travel interactions in the 1990s and early 2000s, reveals no evidence of criminal complicity on Trump's part, despite persistent public and media scrutiny. The 8 domestic flights on Epstein's jet, often involving family members and confined to continental U.S. routes, alongside approximately 22 verified encounters at parties, events, and gatherings, reflect the normative dynamics of elite networking in that era rather than any illicit partnership. Trump's decisive severance of ties around 2004 to 2007, culminating in Epstein's permanent ban from Mar-a-Lago over reports of inappropriate conduct, further distinguishes his involvement from those who maintained closer affiliations even after Epstein's offenses became known. The December 2025 Department of Justice file release, while adding specifics such as passenger overlaps and a higher flight count, introduced no new allegations of wrongdoing, aligning with official statements deeming certain claims unfounded and reinforcing Trump's long-standing acknowledgments of the limited, pre-fallout nature of the relationship. Media sensationalism has significantly amplified perceptions of controversy, with headlines emphasizing more flights than previously known, or redacted passengers, while often downplaying the domestic context, family presence, and absence of links to Epstein's abusive activities at his private estates. This framing has contributed to a narrative that conflates proximity with guilt, overlooking the broader reality that numerous prominent figures across political and social spectra associated with Epstein without foreknowledge of his crimes. The lack of prosecutorial action against Trump, despite prolonged access to these files by opposing administrations, underscores the absence of incriminating evidence specifically directed at him. Calls for full transparency in the Epstein files thus gain urgency not from suspicions tied to Trump personally, but from the need to address victim justice, expose any broader networks, and dispel the speculative void that fuels ongoing conjecture. Conspiracies surrounding Epstein, ranging from theories of his role as an intelligence asset with Israeli ties to discrepancies in his 2019 death suggesting foul play or extraction, to extreme claims of organized baby-making schemes at his properties, thrive amid incomplete disclosures, illustrating how opacity perpetuates distortion. The handling of remaining files by Department of Justice officials has drawn criticism for delays and inconsistent statements, yet presidential authority offers a clear path forward. Comprehensive release, potentially with strategic redactions for privacy or security, could provide closure without personal or political risk, especially given protections afforded post-tenure. Such a step would not only enhance administrative credibility, but also shift focus from one individual's long-ended social tie to the fuller accountability demanded by Epstein's victims and the public. Ultimately, this saga exemplifies the challenges of retrospective judgment in elite circles, where routine associations can be recast through the lens of later revelations. Distinguishing verifiable facts, domestic flights, public events, and a terminated relationship from unsubstantiated speculation remains essential for informed discourse. Full, unredacted disclosure of the Epstein files, separable from individual legal cases like Ghislaine Maxwell's, represents the most effective means to resolve lingering questions, deliver justice where warranted, and prevent the continued conflation of social proximity with criminal involvement. In doing so, it would affirm that transparency, rather than selective withholding, best serves both historical accuracy and public trust.